I have never been the skinniest or the prettiest or the most handsome or the favorite. It sticks. It sticks when everyone screams at you or calls you names. I went out with some friends and we hung out, and me and one of my other friends who I was massively in love with, we kissed. There's this moment between two people that you can feel there's something. And I thought that was the moment. And then next weekend came, we went out again, and I was like, oh, so, what now? And this person just looks at me, and he just looks at me and he says, you're not my type. I was desperate and I was gone, you're not my type, you're way too ugly. You know what I mean, that's not what I mean. And that word, it's that word that was being repeated all of my life, but that was the time it stuck.
Back in the days, when you were a big girl, chubby, that means that in your house you are well off. So it wasn't as bad as it became as time progressed. But growing up when I was little, it wasn't on a negative perspective. But the minute I started going to high school, then it started changing, because then I started liking boys. I would be teased for my weight and why can't you do something about it? And then popular things like eating cotton wool, and they became like in fashion. And so I didn't know how to cope with that. And music, I found music, and that was my escape.
I think I'm the only person who's autistic that's a musical theatre performer in South Africa. When I'm playing guitar, or when I'm writing a song, or when I'm singing, I feel like a real superstar. I always thought, what are people gonna think of me because I'm autistic? Then Gemma said, when you perform on stage, you must show your autism and your inner self.
I've got a child that is autistic, and I thought I knew about love until I had him. He looks at me and I know that he's got me. There was a time when I was going through a lot, and I would come home, sit at the edge of the bed and just sob. And he wouldn't say anything, he would just wipe my tears. But the look that he gave me, it was enough for me to know that he loved me and we were going to be just fine.
So St. Vincent's School for the Deaf is a Elton school. It deals with deaf children, and we have a training center right in our schools. They need to know that you're there. I feel like that's one thing that's missing, especially from teachers, parents, from the world at large. They need to know that we support them and them being deaf. Sometimes some of them feel like it's a curse and they are different.
Here's a message out to all the kids out there, like me. Be exactly who you want to be, okay? I mean, after Born to Perform, someone might come up to me and say, my kid's on the spectrum, do you have any message for him? And I'll say, tell him to live his own dream.
I just want to tell everyone that life is short. Let's say you live for 100 years if you're lucky. Why waste time and be afraid of who you are? Why waste time being afraid, full stop? Why do you want to go through your entire life hiding who you are because of what other people are going to think? There's no time for that. You don't know, the world might end tomorrow, and you weren't unapologetically yourself.
I'm going to give them a message that I wish I would have been given growing up. Not everything that you see around you is as cool as it looks, and you are good enough as you are. Autistic, big, too skinny, too clever, not doing so well in class, your mums or your parents are divorcing. I wish somebody would have told me that I'm just good enough. Just me as I am. I wish somebody would have just said, Tembeka, you are good enough, just go and follow your dreams. I think if somebody said that, I wouldn't have ended up in an abusive relationship trying to look for that. For somebody just to tell me that you are good enough as you are. They are good enough. These kids are good enough. They're so clever. Disabled or not, fat or not, skinnier or whatever, they're so brilliant. And they are the ones that drive us to work as hard as we do. You are good enough.